The world could be a better place with love and unity. Together, we shall conquer the world. Linkway Diplomats is working to solve problems in needy areas such as water problem, community empowerment, community health, basic education, temporary shelters for homeless and travelers, rehabilitation and integration for inmates. Linkway Diplomats, linking people with people. Your community resource network.
Thanks for staying with us. To complement government's efforts at providing portable drinking water, a United States-based non-governmental organization has provided a borehole to address the water challenge being faced by the Zangie community in Nasarawa State. Agatha Joseph Obionga reports.
Water, they said, is life. This is the river where the gay community access their drinking water. Residents of this community, located in Kari local government area of Nasarawa State, are predominantly farmers and lack access to potable drinking water for decades before Linkway Africa came to their aid.
Our passion is to meet the critical needs of the needy communities.
Our vision is to provide water support, education support, and then health support and food support.
And it's this community that is benefiting for the first time from within the African region.
The community, who could not hide their joy, expressed gratitude to the donors and pledged to make proper use of the facility.
Yes, I'm happy with them. The thing that we are doing for this village, for the village of Zangie, we are happy with them.
Because we have been suffering for water for so long, which is why sometimes we don't have water even to take our bath, no water to take bath. But for today, we are very, very happy for that.
Before they suffer, what they drink this river water, what they go, disease everywhere.
Linkway African Outreach Ministry is a faith-based non-governmental organization which was incorporated in 2010 to care for people and communities in need. From Kefi, Agatha Joseph Obioha, NTA News.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Linkway Heroes of Peace, Episode 2, an interfaith collaboration of community peace. My name is Melba Miles, and I am your host for today. Listen, our guest today is someone that has been a vanguard of community peace advocacy for most of his life. He is a pastor, he is an entrepreneur, and a philanthropist. He has viewers all over the world, and it is complete honor for me to introduce our guest today, which is Pastor Johnson Adefila. Welcome to the show, Pastor. How are you doing today?
I am doing just great. The last name is pronounced Adefila.
Adefila.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's close.
Okay, Pastor Johnson then. Listen, Pastor Johnson, you and I have had an opportunity to get to know each other prior to the broadcast, and I know you are a comedian, but please introduce yourself to the rest of the world that is watching today.
Okay, I'm a man saved by grace, and I'm an architect by training, a pastor by calling, and I oversee a local parish in the Decatur area called the Family Praise Chapel. We're part of the Redeemed Christian Church of God.
So as we get more into the actual content for this particular segment, as a community peace advocate, how do we sustain peace in the family as part of our community. How do we do that? This is something you've been doing and advocating for years. How do we explain to the rest of the world how this is done and how it's maintained and sustained?
Well, peace is very essential for livelihood, like hope, like identity. It cements relationship between people in the average community. And there's no better way than to learn what the other person is going through. The psychologists might call it empathy, rather than sympathy. So when you know what your neighbor is going through and you try to identify with them, if they know you care, the whole foundation of peace is the ability to show empathy, to care for the other person. And also, if something is missing in any society, you look for where you can get more of it. The God that we serve, he's a God of peace. And that's why Jesus himself, one of his names, many names, one of his names is Prince of Peace.
And that is so correct. And, as we go back to the Bible, we not only know Jesus as the Prince of Peace, but he actually not only wore that title, but he actually demonstrated that through his lifetime. And if we want to be like Christ, we have to be a people that pursue peace, that ensure peace, and to walk actively in peace each and every day. So it really goes back to the question of, am I my brother's keeper? And then if we answer that question, then we are promoting the peace that Jesus and that Jesus portrayed in the Bible. So we are looking forward to a great interview with you, Pastor Johnson. We have much more in store for you guys that are watching Linkway Heroes of Peace. But right now we're going to take a commercial break and we will be right back. Stay tuned. We have a lot more in store on this episode.
Leader hospitals, not just the building, but highly equipped with great infrastructure, because our aim and our goal is to be a world-class healthcare provider using cutting-edge technology.
Being a part of Dida Hospital has inspired me to keep walking the line and remaining strong in my values.
It's our joy to see baby being delivered, whether premature or term, because the mother, the joy that radiates after being discharged.
This would not have been possible if our patient did not believe in our ability.
We do virtually all kinds of clinical investigations and use all forms of diagnostic method.
Quality healthcare is what we do. Quality service is what we deliver.
And here, caring for our patients means we feel what they feel.
Being rewarded with the content smiles of happy clients is my perfect Dida story.
Thanks for staying with us. To complement government's efforts at providing portable drinking water, a United States-based non-governmental organization has provided a borehole to address the water challenge being faced by the Zangie community in Nasarawa State. Agatha Joseph Obioha reports.
Water, they said, is life. This is the river where the gay community access their drinking water. Residents of this community, located in Kari local government area of Nasarawa State, are predominantly farmers and lack access to potable drinking water for decades before Linkway Africa came to their aid.
Our passion is to meet the critical needs of the needy communities.
Our vision is to provide water support, education support, and then health support and food support.
And it's this community that is benefiting for the first time from within the African region.
Welcome back to Linkway Heroes of Peace. And again, we are interviewing Pastor Johnson. And before we took a commercial break, we were just speaking about the demonstration of Jesus and love in the Bible and how Jesus was called the Prince of Peace. And as disciples of his, as people that call ourselves to be like him, we are called to demonstrate, we are called to promote peace and sustain it. And Pastor Johnson, how do we look at the challenges in the world today? We have war, we have famine, we have floods, we have different things that are going on. What are some challenges and hindrances to peace that you see? And why is it something that is hard to maintain within our country, within our state, just within our local community?
Well, I think part of it is what we have grown to depend on, like technology. We have cell phones, we have cables, we have 24-hour news. These things that looks like we are connected to the world around us, but it's so artificial that in reality, it's actually dividing us. You can live with your neighbor and never say hello or get to greet each other. I remember my neighbors for almost 20 years, they won't even talk to me, because of the racial differences. It took me tolerating them for that long for them to finally say, okay, he's a man of peace. But I had to live peacefully with them for 20 years to earn their trust. So all the technology being in our own world is dividing us. Growing up in Africa, you wake up in the morning and you greet your neighbor. You first say, good morning, neighbor, and you greeted each other, you talk. If they didn't see you for 2 days, they come knocking at your door.
Oh,
but
wow.
Today, we are with all the technology, but we don't do any fellowship. We don't know each other. We're strangers. And so we have to be intentional. You have to break the barrier. You have to be tolerant. You have to do something extra to let them know you really, really care.
And I agree with that because of technology. Sometimes we're having family dinner and my kids would take out their cell phones and the three of them would be on their cell phones. I'm trying to have a conversation with them and they're texting or they're playing their video games, and it does create a divide. So even I noticed that even just within our dinner table. And then I noticed, that the kids today, they don't talk to each other. They'll text before they pick up the phone. They'll text before maybe they'll walk outside to have a conversation. So you are correct with technology playing a huge part in the division of us being just a brother and sister in a complete family. It's all about, okay, how can I communicate with that person without completely interacting?
Yeah, we just have to be intentional because God himself is a community. And so when he said, let us make man in our own image, he wasn't doing it alone. And then one of the problems he saw when Adam was made was that it was not good for the man to be alone. And so part of the way we kind of like make or magnify peace is first of all for us to be a person of peace. In other words, you're not allowing the pressure of life, the anger of what you miss. You're not letting it out on other people. You're tolerant. You're forgiving. You're intentional. And say, I want to reach out to you. I want to know you. I want to be a blessing to you. So you have to do those intentional acts for the other person to know that you are a person of peace. And then once you do that, they can let down the guard, then you can begin fellowship.
And you mentioned something very specific. You mentioned two key concepts that lack in the world today. You mentioned tolerance, and then you mentioned intentional. So number one, the world has become less tolerant of each other. Even though we talk about inclusion, even though we talk about it's one world, we are less tolerant of each other. And we are less intentional about the welfare of other people that are outside of our immediate household.
Yes, we claim to be more, what we call tolerance today is to be politically correct.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I need to agree with whatever you want, go with what you want. in the old way, in the African way, when I was younger, it was the whole community that raises up a child. Everybody loved you. They all wanted good for you. They disciplined you. They spoke into your life. And you can go out and leave your doors unlocked. You can leave your pets outside. Your neighbor will care for that. You know, there's trust. The trust level is very high. Now, if I just show up in a neighborhood where there's not enough of people of my color, they are already tensed up because the assumption is I'm there to steal. So when there's no trust, you know, they will be concerned. On my side, I'm threatened. On their side, they're also threatened. Not because, so we're all afraid, you know, so
yes.
The fear factor, you know, and that's why the Bible says God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of sonship and of a sound mind. So it all goes back again to realizing that we're in a world where we are falling from what God intended originally. So there'll be a lot of shoring, a lot of fixing, a lot of doing things that needs to be done to help us to enjoy the peace. And like I've said, the author of peace himself is Jesus. You know, without sounding churchy or preachy, you know, hey, if his name is
that's just
Prince
facts.
I mean, he has peace. So if you want peace, you got to go to the source of peace.
Yes.
He has so much of it that he spoke to the storm. When his disciple woke him up on the Sea of Galilee, there was so much storm. I mean, the storm was almost making the boat capsize. He said, Master, don't you care that we perish? First thing he said is, peace, be still.
Peace,
As soon as the Prince of Peace spoke, the storm went down, stopped, and there was peace on the waters. And so he's the one that can give us peace, because what we call peace is not what God calls peace.
So the Bible talks about the fact that blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Now, do you think, or who do you consider to be a peacemaker, past or current, in today's troubled world?
Well, when you say blessed are the peacemaker, I believe right there in context, he was talking to his disciples. You know, that's one of the Beatitudes, as we call it in the Christian culture. However, there are non-Christians who are also peaceful.
Yes.
So I guess what Jesus was trying to say is this: you get what you sow. You know,
you reap what you sow.
Yeah, the Bible says, "He who wants a friend needs to first show him or herself friendly." So if I want peace from you, I have to relate with you by starting out peacefully. You see, in the Jewish culture, when you go to a stranger's or a place that you've never been to before, and you knock at their door, what you say to them is, peace be unto this house. If they welcome you, your peace will stay with them. If they reject you, they refuse you, then you take your peace with you and continue your journey. In other words, it should be something that we not only will believe in, it should be something we also speak. Because the world was made by word, but God said, let there be light, and there was light. And since we are created in the image of God, we ought to be able to also go to places and say, peace be unto you. In fact, every time an angel of God shows up in the Bible to any of his, the children of God, whether Jew or Gentile, whatever, the greetings are usually peace be unto you, because God brings peace. You know, it's only when you refuse the peace, then chaos will take root. So we need to be speaking peace unto each other, peace in our families, settings, peace in church, and then act like people of peace. In other words, don't act like a tiger. You're not a tiger. You're not an animal. You're a human being created in the image of God. So carry peace with you. When people see you, they should see peace all over you too, because you are a gentle man, like Jesus Christ. He will not break even a reef. That's what the scriptures say. He won't even drive away or fly. That was how peaceful he was. When Peter tried to cut off someone's ear, Jesus said, no, 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 no. Put your sword back into his hold. So because he who tried to, kind of like fight by the sword will die by the sword. He's not saying you cannot fight war, but he's just saying that no. The beginning is peace, because peace is powerful. It's not the absence of trouble, but you are calculated, you're all together, even in a situation where it is tense and highly challenging.
Well, Pastor Johnson, you have given us so much to think about, to consider. We're going to take a commercial break right here because we need to just think about what you said and let that marinate in our mind and our soul, because you've spoken so much knowledge. So we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and when we come back, we will continue this conversation about peace and how to develop it and sustain it within the world today. We will be right back. Thank you.
The world could be a better place with love and unity. Together, we shall conquer the world. Linkway Diplomats is working to solve problems in needy areas such as water problem, community empowerment, community health, basic education, temporary shelters for homeless and travelers, rehabilitation and integration for inmates. Linkway Diplomats, linking people with people. Your community resource network.
Dida hospitals, not just the building, but highly equipped with great infrastructure, because our aim and our goal is to be a world-class healthcare provider using cutting-edge technology.
Being a part of Dida Hospital has inspired me to keep walking the line and remaining strong in my values.
It's our joy to see baby being delivered, whether premature or term, because the mother, the joy that radiates after being discharged.
This would not have been possible if our patient did not believe in our ability.
We do virtually all kinds of clinical investigations and use all forms of diagnostic method.
Quality healthcare is what we do. Quality service is what we deliver.
And here, caring for our patients means we feel what they feel.
Being rewarded with the content smiles of happy clients is my perfect Dida story.
And we are back. Welcome back to Linkway Heroes of Peace. We are just having, Pastor Johnson has been dropping just so much knowledge and wisdom as a community advocate for peace. Pastor Johnson, there were some key points that you talked about that I really want to just reflect upon. You talked about the fact of speaking peace. You talked about the fact that when the angels showed up in the Bible, that the first thing they said was, peace be unto you, and how in the Jewish culture, that is the very first thing that they say when they approach someone in terms of their physical residence. And one of the things you also mentioned, the fact of, in order to have friends, you have to show yourself first as being friendly. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that. We're so inundated with our lives and, things that are going around us, stress and pressure and got to do this, got to do that, technology, that we forget to first show ourselves friendly versus showing ourselves in terms of what we're dealing with. So I do believe that there would be even greater peace if we were to just show ourselves friendly, show ourselves, to come forth in peace. Because even in the previous times when there were times of conflict, or when there were the pioneers, the first thing they did was, hey, I come forth in peace.
Yeah, you see, even in the African culture, which I like very much, when you go to greet your neighbor, For example, in my mother tongue, I speak the Yoruba, even though I can't read and write it, but I speak it. We say "Alafia" for me. You know, I'll say "Peace be unto you," and then it's a way of me saying to you, "I'm offering you peace," and then you have to receive it. Because if you don't receive it, then it will come back to me. So all cultures understand that. Even when nations are at war, if you take a white handkerchief and you just hold on to it,
yes,
you know, I think either the Geneva law, whatever they call it, it shows that you're saying, you know what, I don't want to fight anymore. The international laws recognize that to say, you know what, it's time for peace. So if you go killing someone who is holding the white handkerchief, you'll be violating one of the rules of law. So what I'm saying is we need to speak peacefully to each other. For example, if I say, how are you? And I say, how are you? You can tell one of it doesn't carry anything. One is attacking you.
Yes.
So the way we talk must show tolerance, must show the desire to empathize, to know what you're going through. Then we need to stop stereotyping, assuming everybody is evil. So not only do we have to offer peace, the law of sowing and reaping also requires for us to sow peace, so that what you sow is also what you harvest. Are you going to lose something in the process? Maybe. Or you are still commanded to be peaceful. That's where the Beatitude said, blessed are those peacemakers. You know, so
blessed.
God says it's a blessing for you to be a peacemaker. In other words, there's a way to make peace. The way I make peace with you is, first of all, I see the glory of God over your life. I see the image of God in you. I know you are a person created by God. You have value, because my God that I serve, he doesn't create junks. I may not like your hairdo, your dress, your makeup. I may not like any of those, because those are not things that are images of God. It's the fact that you have a soul
that
cares for you. You're so I mean, you're so wonderful before God that He's able to say unto His Son Jesus Christ, "Go die for that person for me." If I can see God in you, offering peace to you become easier for me. And then that follows the law, or when you summarize the 10 commandments, the second part of it is that thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. In other words, there's no dichotomy between me and you. And if I want to be at peace with myself, I should be at peace with you.
Well, you know, people they often get the first part of that commandment right. You know, love God with all of your heart, soul, mind, and body. But it's the second part of that commandment that they tend to vary on. You know, love the neighbor as thyself. So that's the harder part that people tend to maybe not get 100% right. And, you know, as we think about the violence in the world today, you know, sometimes I don't even look at the news, the local news, state news, the national news, because of the violence that is going on. And it is so hurtful how people attack each other. There's so much violence, whether it's, you know, domestic, whether it's terrorism, different things that are going on. How do we get to this point? How do we go from being in the garden where God came to visit, to now where people are killing each other, mass shootings, school shootings, stabbings, there's violence, carjacking, house invasions, home invasions? How do we get to this point?
Well, the essence of peace, first of all, we are the highest, the climax of God's creation. That's why God will come in the cool of the evening, and He will have fellowship with Adam and Eve. But when the enemies, through Satan, through the snake, now that's why when you see a talking snake, you better run away.
If I see any kind of snake, I'm running away.
it's good to run away from any snake. But when you see one that talks, and there's a lot of them in Texas, when you see this snake, it's telling you, back off, back off, back off, back off. I'm dangerous. So not to talk of the one that really talks like we do. So anyway, Mama Eve fell for the deceit of Satan, and that was where mankind fell. And ever since, the world has been going, just drifting, drifting, drifting. That's why in Matthew chapter 7, verse 13, verse 14, it talks about the broad way. There are many who are going through that, and then there's the narrow gate and the narrow path, and only a few find it. So for us, now the world has become, very few have the true peace. But the majority of the world on the broad way, they're looking at materials, the cars, the houses, the riches, the wristwatch, real estate. That's where they're looking for peace. Unfortunately, you can buy the best bed in the world and still get no sleep. You can have all the money in the world and still be full of fear. You can have all the oil field in the world and still not be satisfied, because there's a vacuum in all of us that only God can satisfy. And that's why Jesus said in John chapter 14, he talks about, say, my peace I give unto you, not as the world gives peace. There's a way God gives his own peace, where I could be persecuted, I could be in the middle of serious needs, and at the same time, I have the peace of God, because that's something that God alone really gives. That's why he said there's a peace that passeth all understanding. In other words, it's beyond what you and I can think or imagine. It's not about being smart or being cute or anything. It's just a gift from God. And the reason why we don't have it today, because people don't want God. When you don't want God, where God says, okay, you're on your own. And eventually, the book of Romans talks about people developing a reprobate mind, people doing things that they don't really enjoy, but they still have to do it anyway. So we have to let the word of God sink in. In John chapter 14, verse 27, it says very clearly, it says, peace I live with you. Jesus said that. So those with whom Jesus left peace should be ambassadors of peace. That's the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing, because naturally, I would not want to mix, this and that, because sometimes when you mix too much, especially interfaith, you can lose your own identity. However, I know Jesus is the author of peace. He said, my peace I leave with you. He didn't give it to me to bank it. I can't put it in the bank. So I have to share it. I have to take it to those who need peace. He said, my peace I give. He said, not as the world gives do I give you. He's making it clear now. The world tries to give peace, and Jesus also gives peace, but they are not the same way. Then he says, let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. So how do we get peace? What are the things troubling you? What are you afraid of? We are afraid the economy is going this way. Well, ever since I've been born, economy has been going up and down. Yes. But one thing is still sure, God is on the throne. I am not afraid. I mean, I know Putin can send a missile or warhead, nuclear warhead, and hit blessed America. But my faith is still in God. I'm not afraid. Why am I?
Truly, when you have faith in God, you're not afraid.
Eternal life. So when you have eternal life, even if Putin's missiles blows me into pieces, I will be completely complete before my God in the heavens. So
hopefully that won't happen.
No, it won't happen. Not while I'm still around, because God is always with me.
Always, always, always. Yeah. And you spoke kind of to my next question, which is when there are times in which people are in need. And we know that right now we're going through a time in which we are in a recession. People are in need. The gas prices are high. We have a war going on. And there is just a lot of stress. There are a lot of things that are are making people have great unrest. How do you speak to the political system, and what are your recommendations for maintenance to our communities during this time of unrest and political instability?
Well, what I would say is we are the one who put the dichotomy between the political and the spiritual. Our life is affected by all these things, and we should be helping out every way we can. For example, yesterday in our church community, we gave out book bags, books, pen, crayon, all those things, and then tracts for them to read. We gave it out to people in the community. They were so happy. God blessed it. In fact, the rain did not fall until we were done, and 2-3 hours after, before the rain started falling. So we did that to help the little way we can. And that's how if you show love to your neighbor, if you show that you care, you can help, kind of bring down the stress level. You can let them also know that someone cares for them. In other words, it's not just about me saying, bring your tithes and offering. We give back to the community. We pray for our communities. We pray evil away from the community, because people are under all these things that stress them. Maybe it's a gang, maybe it's whatever. If you can pray and the presence of God can make a difference in that community, the peace of God will linger longer. So we need to do more than just wishing, because like say if wishes were horses, even the blind man will have his own private jet. So it's not just wishing. You have to be intentional. You have to do certain things that brings about this peace, that helps you reach out to your community. Are you meeting needs? Can they count on you without you tolerating bad habits? So we have to be intentional. We have to be wonderful people, peaceful people, and loving people. Because when you help reduce the fear and the worries, people will be able to think. I was telling them in church today, the word amuse is broken into two words. Which actually, when you look at those who study Latin, Greek, or whatever, it means not. The muse is deep thinking. So when you say amuse, it means you're not thinking deep. So when we go to amusement park, what do? We don't think deep. You just get on the, whether it's the seesaw,
the roller coaster,
or whatever, yeah, until there's an accident. Then you're thinking right. So amusement, we have focus on peace coming from joy, something that eating more sugar, buying fast food. No, they don't give you peace, but they eventually affect the foundation of your peace. So we need to do things right, think and honor God. Give God the glory that belongs to him. All of those little things that God will have us do, they all bring the ultimate peace.
Well, Pastor Johnson, you have dropped so much knowledge, from the usage of the word amusement, not thinking, to being intentional, to the statement you made earlier about the blind man and the jet. What was that statement you made? Well, wishful man?
Yes, I said if wishes were horses,
Wishes were horses.
Not only will the beggar have their own horse to ride on, but they will have a private jet too. Because so I'm saying we can wish ourselves peace all we want. We need to go beyond wishing peace.
We need to be intentional.
Being intentional, doing things.
We need to be intentional.
That bring peace. Yes, I have to get out of my way and say, hey, what can I do for you? Can I help you? And I've seen it. For example, I have people working for me in church today. Many years ago, I was preaching, and I believe I heard something from inside of me that says, if you don't have $20 on you, you are seated in the sanctuary today, put your hands up. I embarrass a lot of them. Do you know only about 20 put their hands up? Then I said, meet me after service. I'm going to give you at least $100. Well, when I went back to the back office, about maybe 60 people showed up. So I said, no. When the sanctuary, it was only 20 of you. And I have budgeted that I will give you $50 each, and the church will also give you $50 each. I said, now that 60 people is showing, I said, no. If you are not part of the initial 20,
the original 20, yes.
Wait. Anyway, I gave them $100 each, 50 from me, 50 from the church. And then one of them came back after about a month. Said, I want to pay this money back. I said, no, it was a gift. You don't have to pay it back. She said, what? In America? I said, yeah, this is America.
He said in America.
The sister is still working for us in the church today.
Wow.
And guess what? She broke down crying at that time because of $100 bills. You see, I first sowed into our life because I obey God. So if you want peace to reign, all of us must first obey God, be agents of peace. You see, Paul says something in the book of, I think it's further in 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians. He said, to the Jews I became a Jew. To the Gentiles I became a Gentile. In other words, if you want to catch a monkey, you act like a monkey. So you must do something to give people peace. After you have gotten their attention, they will ask you, why did you do this? Why did you care for me? Yes. They say, because you are awesome. And if you appreciate them, the real humanity in them, the good one, will show up to the surface.
Awesome. Awesome. Just awesome. From the analogy to the story to how you sowed into the lives of your members, and just by the example of being intentional. So we're going to take that information and we're going to contemplate on that segment, that information you just gave us. And we're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we will continue our in-depth conversation with Pastor Johnson. Stay tuned.
Thanks for staying with us. To complement government's efforts at providing portable drinking water, a United States-based non-governmental organization has provided a borehole to address the water challenge being faced by the Zangie community in Nasarawa State. Agatha Joseph Obioha reports.
Water, they said, is life. This is the river where the gay community access their drinking water. Residents of this community, located in Kari local government area of Nasarawa State, are predominantly farmers and lack access to potable drinking water for decades before Linkway Africa came to their aid.
Our passion is to meet the critical needs of the needy communities.
Our vision is to provide water support, education support, and then health support and food support.
And it's this community that is benefiting for the first time from within the African region.
The community, who could not hide their joy, expressed gratitude to the donors and pledged to make proper use of the facility.
Yes, sir, I'm happy with them. The thing that we are doing for this village, for the village of Zangie, we are happy with them.
Well, we have been suffering for water for so long, which is why sometimes we don't have water able to take our bath, no water to take bath. But for today, we are very, very happy for that.
Before we they suffer, what they drink this river water, what they go, disease everywhere.
Linkway African Outreach Ministry is a faith-based non-governmental organization which was incorporated in 2010 to care for people and communities in need. From Kefi, Agatha Joseph Obioha, NTA News.
welcome back. This Pastor Johnson, this has been so much fun. It's just like having a conversation with just someone that we're just talking about peace. Does not seem like an interview. It seems like we are just having a conversation, at over coffee, and we're just talking about ways in which we can be better as a people. At first, it starts with us, which, you talked about the fact that we have to be intentional. We have to show, and not only just talk about being a Christian and loving people and loving God, but we actually have to demonstrate that. And you gave some specific examples of how you have accomplished that. So when we look at the abuse, we know that in the news it regularly talks about different childhood abuse, physical abuse, emotional, sexual abuse, and trauma. The school and the workplace have been found to be related in terms of the mental health crisis. We know that because of COVID, there are a lot of mental health issues that have been put on the forefront that have actually made it to front page news. And what, in your opinion, are the roles in terms of the politicians and the faith leaders in addressing mental health?
Well, I think mental health is one major contributor to mental health is stress. In life, we're out of job, COVID came, we all closed in, no fellowship, no human touch. Even when we talk, our mouths are covered with masks. If I put something over my mouth, my communication becomes reduced. It's challenged because the movement of my lip also communicate to you. So during COVID, everything just went up, and so people were tired of staying indoor. They were not getting out to get enough sunshine. And we know COVID itself is, if you go out to get enough vitamin D, they say it's helpful, and zinc and the rest of them. So yeah, COVID made all of that worse. Unfortunately, the stress in life, I can speak to that because I come from Africa. In Africa, all these water bill, light bill, phone bill, cable bill, everything is bill.
We have that in the United States.
I was
bills.
I mean, almost half of my life, I grew up in Africa. I didn't pay one bill. So when I got here, the first stress that gave me blood pressure is the bills, and
and the traffic. We're in Atlanta, so the traffic.
Well, yeah, not to talk about traffic and the rest of them. So the African man living in the jungle, is not worried about all this stuff. So what I'm saying here is this, that the comfort of life has added to the stress of life. So therefore, what we need to do is to figure out how can we help people to reduce the levels of stress. Everybody is stressed out. That's why everybody is so tense. A little things that you can normally talk and say, how are you? Everybody wants to fight. So we need to first talk to ourselves. I think pastors like me should be trained to identify the mental issues. Because when people are tense, they want to do anything. They don't value their lives. They don't value other people's lives. They're willing to kill. I mean, can you imagine driving on the highway, someone crossing your front, and someone pulls a gun at you?
Yeah.
I have never held a gun in my life. So now we are talking of people being shot, stray bullets, left now. So what I'm saying is mental health is an indication that we are all stressed up. And guess what? We don't have peace. So we need to be able to bring people to say, okay, what brings you meaning in life? Help people, help them pay their bills, help them to do many other training. For example, we all get married with no marital training, and yet you can't drive your car without a driver's license. And yes, someone gives you a whole human being, you don't live with them. And then you bring little ones to life. God help you if you have, you start your children out by having triplets. You don't know, you don't have peace, you don't know how to do anything. You'll be stressed out. I had my twin girls when I was in graduate school. I thank God I didn't mother one of them because I wanted to study and the baby wanted to cry and play, do what babies do. So we need help. Government needs to step in. Spiritual leaders needs to step in. Community leader needs to chip in. All of us must do whatever we can to help bring the stress level down.
And I agree. Stress is a huge factor in the violence that takes place today. Because when people are stressed, they are so unfocused, not only on themselves, but on what is going on around them, because they're focused on that one particular thing that is causing them to be unhappy, fearful, or in a situation in which they feel like their independence is going, or their freedom is going to be taken away.
Yes.
Whether that is financial, whether that is relationship, in whatever regard that may be. So mental health is definitely an aspect in which, like you said, pastors should be professionally trained, because a lot of times people are coming to the church, they're coming to pastors, they're coming to faith leaders for assistance.
Definitely. In fact, as a matter of fact, I talk to people when they come to my office, say they want to see me. I say, please come and sit down. I don't have an appointment. You can just, all my members can walk in any day, anytime they want. And then we start talking. I find out that if they are talking, all I'm doing, I say, wow, really? Wow. Okay. That's all I'm saying. They do all the talk for 30 minutes. And then they say, Pastor, thank you. I say, thank you. And then they go. The following week, they're thanking me for listening last week. That's the solution. So I have developed the ability to just listen. Don't ask questions unless they tell you, do you want to know? Then you say yes. Just listening. People don't find that, I mean, no one to talk to anymore. No true friends. Even on the phone, when they say, how are you? You get these emojis, you know, smiling face, this and that. It's all artificial. It's not deep. It's not from the heart. You see someone in the room and say, how are you? Everybody's fine. Everybody's doing fine. But they're not fine.
Yeah.
And if you say
they're not really responding
if the answer is not so
they
well,
really feel.
They don't follow up and say, okay, what's happening with you?
Yes.
As you are answering them, they're walking away.
So, Pastor Johnson, we only have a few minutes left because the show is wrapping up. And we can continue this conversation for the next few hours because the information that you're providing is so needed. It is so in-depth. It is so rich. It is so intentional, what you're doing in terms of advocating for peace. But just before we close, what is the most important interfaith collaboration in regaining and maintaining peace within our community? What collaborations do you see need to take place? Just in a 30-second wrap up.
I'll say, first of all, we're all human, okay? So let's identify the needs that we all have and see how we can jointly meet them. Because I should not help only those who believe the way I do. My neighbor is my neighbor, not a person of my choice. So what are your needs? Let me know them and we'll help meet those needs. Maybe after you are helped, you've calmed down, we can then talk the issue of faith itself.
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving that summarization. We talked about the fact that we have to be intentional. We talked about the fact that we have to speak peace. We have to show ourselves friendly in order to maintain friends. We really just have to show the love of Jesus, which means that we love God first, and then we love our neighbor as ourselves. It is so simple. And imagine what kind of world this would be. We want to thank you, Pastor Johnson, for joining us today, for dropping all of the knowledge. We look forward to to you participating in future broadcasts of Linkway Heroes of Peace. We want to thank our audience for joining us and for engaging in this conversation. And we look forward to having additional conversations and additional segments that allow us to work together, because we have to come together as a world to create the world in which God intended for us to live. So please join us. For our viewers, please join us for our next segment. We want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to follow us on social media. We are at www.linkwaydiplomats.org. And we thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope you have a blessed day.
The world could be a better place with love and unity. Together, we shall conquer the world. Linkway Diplomats is working to solve problems in needy areas such as water problem, community empowerment, community health, basic education, temporary shelters for homeless and travelers, rehabilitation and integration for inmates. Linkway Diplomats, linking people with people. Your community resource network.